Welcome back. It's the 4th of July and we are standing in the grocery row gardens, which it's been too hot and muggy to do much out here. It's been hitting almost 100 degrees every single day, and it's sort of taking the fun out of it. So I've been sitting around inside, reading in the air conditioning, drinking coffee, being indigent. Fountain. This is the first row here. This is why we have 3-foot wide pathways. Not that it matters. It's become overrun with Everglades tomatoes, cucumbers, watermelons. There's a papaya in there. I put some papaya seeds in a couple of months ago. I didn't realize that any of them actually were really growing, but there's a papaya, which is probably gonna die, at least when the winter comes. So as we go through here, you can see we've got a lot of growth. Mulberry. I've got arrowroot in here, which is coming through the green onions. This is the cold hardy Japanese fiber banana. These are my wonderful biomass cannas. They're Canna musifolia. It's not really that common a variety because it's big and lush and it doesn't make incredible flowers. I was talking to a guy that ran an ornamental nursery and he said, oh yeah, those are not the type of cannas we're looking for. We want, you know, not crazy rank growth that takes over. We want a variety that is pretty and fills in its space well. But these guys, we can cut them over and over and over again to feed the soil and to mulch. Sweet potatoes here take it over. We let the landrace cucumbers run to seed, so you can see some of the vines here are dying out. We had almost 200 pounds of cucumbers that we harvested, and that was enough. So these guys here are for seed. A lot of seed. Yeah, I get some peppers coming in a little bit. Stevia. It's actually almost out of control right now. We could have done a little preventative maintenance. I haven't really been sitting around. We've actually been exceptionally busy working on the inside of our house and doing some things that needed to get done so we can do some repairs. There's some painting that needs to be done. There's some plumbing that needs to be done, and there was a lot of items left with the house that we had to deal with. Plus, you have to do a big purge of your stuff every once in a while, especially when you have a lot of kids. So that's what we did over the last couple of weeks, and hence the lack of gardening content. But as I come back out here, it's alive. It's growing. There's plenty of food coming out of here and cool plants. This is taro, aka malanga, aka dasheen, edible Colocasia esculenta, in case you want me to be precise. Doing well. All this mulberry growth here has been since the spring because it froze. Looks like this one has some sort of a virus. See that weird pattern on the leaves? That's caused by 5G, obviously. Gingers and everything looking good through here. There were a bunch of black cherry that seeded themselves through here, and I just have allowed them to grow. I'm going to dig them up when they're bare root in the winter and pot them up. These are good for the plant nursery. They're scattered here and there, and we just mulched around them and let them go, and they'll make a nice timber tree for somebody. The okra is starting to come in, and that means we have to be out here picking it regularly. This is too big. This is just right. These little guys are, that one's almost too big. That one's just right. This is our okra, which is multiple crossed up varieties together. Heavy on the burgundy okra variety, which did really well for us. Oh man, this needs to be pruned. Look at these Everglades tomatoes. When all other tomatoes give up, we always have Everglades tomatoes. Small, delicious flavor, highly aggressive, self-seeding, weedy. If you could cross this with a beefsteak, the flavor is just exceptional. But if you could cross this with a beefsteak and get something super vigorous like that, that would be awesome. I think it's just the nature of small tomatoes, though. They handle the vicissitudes of the weather much better. Yeah. What a mess. What a gorgeous mess. A friend visited yesterday who knows more about cows than we do, and we were talking to him about cows, and we took him through the garden, and he said, "Do you spray anything?" No. If it dies, it was not supposed to be here. That's my philosophy of the garden. If it dies, it's not supposed to be here. I don't want to have to baby stuff and take care of it. I could ignore it for a couple of weeks, and I come out here and there is food and medicine. This echinacea right here. There you go. There's your medicine. I am not a medical doctor. That's cool. That one, I forgot that I had planted there. We dug a bunch of stuff up and transplanted it, and that one froze down and then showed up in the spring. And I had actually planted a cassava almost, it's like directly on top of where that is. And it started to grow around the cassava, so I pulled the cassava out because I only have one of those. Beautiful purple coneflower, echinacea. This pepper is weird. One of the only peppers that I've had that makes the peppers way down inside more than to the edges. It's kind of strange, but it's weedy. It's a Thai pepper of some sort. Maybe it'll naturalize like the Everglades tomatoes and just take over. I really like the way this archway is turning out here with the edible variety of Dioscorea bulbifera on top of it. It's just truly exceptional, the bulbifera. I mean, even the size of the leaves are amazing. And it's just starting to initiate the development of aerial bulbils. There's a few in here that are just starting to form, and they'll get about the size of my fist, and then they can be peeled and steamed or boiled, used like potatoes. It's not sweet. It's a true yam, but it's a yam that makes aerial tubers, which is really exciting. I have planted this particular plant now probably 4 times without ever getting enough to harvest because we keep having to move, and it's a perennial plant. And in the second year I keep thinking, that's the year I'm gonna get it. And then we move. Like, I'll get it again and then we move, and then get it again and then we move, and it's just really, really looking good when we move. But I'm not moving this time. This is not gonna happen. We're going to get D. bulbifera bulbils. You gotta hold me to that camera, lady. I'm not moving. Definitely have not been looking at real estate in Appalachia. So amongst all of the edible elephant ears, if you want to take it down to the vernacular here, we've got zinnias growing, more Everglades tomatoes helping themselves to the space. Got some nice looking tobacco, which I have to come out and cut to cure. A lot of the tobacco and the sunflowers got knocked over by the storm that we had with very heavy winds for a short period of time. And that kind of thing can wreak havoc, but that sort of thing happens, and most everything was okay. It could have been much worse. Look at that tobacco, that looks great. Now we're getting to a part where we've got an issue because the storm knocked down this trellis right here. It left that side of the trellis. It knocked this trellis over, and I have bulbifera vines all over the ground, covered with watermelons, and there is just nothing I can do about it at this point. It blew it down, and we didn't get to it fast enough, and it has really just, it's just done. I can't do anything about these vines right here, right now, because I have to choose. I would damage Ezekiel's watermelon landrace by doing it, so can't handle it. This is a nice looking melon. Almost sounds edible to me, but I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not a watermelon expert. My son knows more about the watermelons than I do now. Does better at getting them. And he still gets them. Not always exactly on time. This watermelon right here, trying to step around it, it's actually, this is a very high risk area of the garden. I don't want to crush all the vines. But this watermelon is exceptionally large. This thing is a beast, and we're waiting. I think it's almost there, but wow. I bet that sucker is 40 pounds. What a monster. What a mess. Can't even tell what's going on. This is my kind of gardening here. It's literally my kind of gardening. Literally wrote a short book on it. But it's gotten nuts. You know, just about the time you think that garden is over, I can't, there's nothing I could do. The foliage has won. Just about that time, camera lady's not even gonna try and follow me through here, I don't think. But just about that time, it starts to get cold and chill. You know, you get these couple of months of hot, humid, brutal weather with lots of rain, and everything just awesome green mess. And then life comes back together because it cools off and it slows down, and a lot of the rampant annual growth dies back or goes to seed and then dies back. We get all of our seeds for next year and our harvests for next year, and it starts to get under control again, and you can come back and restart your mulching and your weeding and everything. But man, it's like if you get derailed slightly by like cleaning your house or something, whew, it's amazing. I mean, we can't even pass hardly through these pathways anyways, which is awesome. You don't have to use something as aggressive as watermelon as your ground cover, but I find it really exciting. I get one more yield out of here. I've got all these trees and roots and everything else, and then I got watermelons on the ground. So we'll put up with the rambling vines for the few months that they're out here. It's no biggie. Look at that sugar cane. All right. I gotta show you another plant, but we will we'll meet at the beginning end of the next row, and then we'll come see it. We're on the side of the bulbifera trellis here. This is just incredible. They're so beautiful. I miss the tropics often. I miss my South Florida home, though I don't miss the city and all the regulations and everything I had to deal with. I'm not made for that. I gotta be out in the country. But I bring the tropics with us wherever we go, like this awesome taro. This is insane. These are really big. Neat. So let's go back through here. I'll show you some of the yams, speaking of bringing the tropics in. Our regular viewer Derek, who has a plant nursery, sent me some of these pentaphylla yams, which look really kind of cool and weird. They have a 5-leaf, hence the name pentaphylla. And then the rest of these are mostly greater yam, the water yam, D. alata, and they're straining at these trellises now. We had a problem with this too, because the winds that went sideways pushed this trellis somewhat to the side. And also, this trellis, to make you jealous, is not from Josh Satin. It's from Connor Crickmore. I had thought that this was originally invented by Josh Satin because there was not attribution in the Trellis to Make You Jealous video, but I found out from Connor Crickmore, his team there, that this is a trellis system that Connor has been using for 15 years. So it pre-existed the Trellis to Make You Jealous video, and it's a good system. It works well, but when you get like 70 or 80 mile per hour winds and it's got vines all over it, it definitely bends it. Bent it sideways, and I pushed it somewhat back up, but I'm just gonna leave it until we harvest, when we get that break time that we can redo everything. They're literally watermelons, like watermelons just on top of watermelons all over the place in here. I love it. This is almost passable. These are the end of these cucumbers here that have gone to seed, and I can almost just come here with a machete and clean all this stuff up, but the watermelons are hambugging me right now, as they say on the island of Grenada. In the way. Watermelon. We got some peppers here. We got to come out and harvest a bunch of stuff. It's time. We'll come in with a basket full of produce or more. I actually have, there's still potatoes that are in here that we haven't dug. The vines have died back and it's ready. And there's lots and lots of Everglades tomato. We made sauce out of these one year. It took a lot of picking, like making blueberry jam. You do a lot of picking for the jam. But the sauce was incredible. The flavor is exceptional. There's a book by Joe Robinson called Eating on the Wild Side, which talks about some of your wilder plants and the higher nutrient density that was often bred out or lost because people were breeding for specific traits that they wished to perpetuate, like larger, sweeter fruit, better shippability, particular colors, that sort of thing. And in doing so, they lost some of the original high nutrient density. And judging by the rich flavor of these guys, probably high in nutrient density, probably the lycopene is just off the charts. All right, maybe you can get through here. There's another beautiful watermelon. Actually, there's 4 watermelons right around this peach tree. One that's showing very strong sugar baby characteristics. There's another sugar baby one back there behind the mess. That's sugarcane and asparagus growing on top of each other, which really shouldn't happen, but it just kind of does sometimes. This one is showing very high Charleston gray. This may be a pure blood. That one might be a pure blood. Back in here, there's another stripy watermelon that could be just about anything. Really, because there are pure lines, crossed lines, 2 years of crossed lines, plus some pure lines that were still in there, and they'll all cross, so their seeds are probably all mixed up, so they'll be like Charleston babies and sugar grays and that sort of thing. I'm sure they'll make beautiful children together. And we'll see what happens with it. I love the landrace thing. Yep, I got hot peppers in here I gotta pick. Jalapenos. Coming through. I love those jalapenos. They go right through the heat and they don't mind it. And oh, the plant that I was going to show you. This is vetiver. This is one of the most useful plants ever invented. It's really, really good for stabilizing slopes and building organic matter. See how it makes this clumping form? It's a divisible clump. You can break pieces of it off and make a whole bunch of plants out of this one plant. But it has very, very deep roots, very, very strong, thick grass that stops erosion. So if you plant these along the edge of a hill or the edge of a cliff, the edge of your garden, if you have some slope, it holds organic matter. As it washes up against it like this, it'll just stay there and it catches, and the grass just keeps growing over the top of it, so you can actually naturally terrace a region with it over time. But it was, the name is also sweetroot grass. It was used extensively by the English to stabilize hillsides all over the Caribbean and in India and elsewhere. Probably was used long before they were using it, but that's how we were introduced to it down in the Caribbean. This had been used to stop erosion and plant along the edge of roadsides and everything, and it's a good chop and drop as well. Love this stuff. But a friend gave us one little plant, and I got it in the ground, and it loves it here. So we're going to see if it could take the cold of a zone 8B winter and come back. This is a experiment. Put some lantana around a chestnut tree. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep a chestnut under control, but why not? You know, the Romans used to coppice them, so they can be cut back repeatedly. I don't know how well they're going to actually make nuts that way, but it's an experiment. That's a Chinese chestnut. These sweet potatoes are the white variety of sweet potato, and I buried some sweet potatoes in here at the end of last year, and they came up, and then we used them to take lots of little slips and plant them elsewhere. So sweet potatoes are a big part of our summer ground cover usually. I could have them all through here. They're starting to get there, but not quite. Pomegranate, galangal ginger, zinnia, asparagus, goji berry. There's a lot of diversity in here, and this is another reason why you don't have to spray. Like, you just mix a whole bunch of stuff together and it just sorts out. The insects don't have a super happy, hospitable environment to live in. The bad guys. The good guys, there's predators all through here that can hunt them down. Especially when we don't spray the wasp nests around the house. We just let them go and they hunt the garden. It's great. We found praying mantises. We found lots of ladybugs. All kinds of stuff is going on, and we planted plants that actually fit the climate as well. So there's multiple things going on here, but it's not a problem. If something gets chewed to pieces, like, you know, you get holes in the leaves. The wasps just come in here and they tear caterpillars to shreds, and this is just not hospitable. And when the kids find lizards and frogs and things like that, we just release them out here too. Found a praying mantis, put it out there. Found a stick bug, put it out there. I don't know what that is. Put it out there, whatever. Just put things in it. If you have more ecosystem, you have more checks and balances. So it's easy. Sweet potatoes. Look at this galangal ginger here. This one's beautiful. This is just great. Got a little tiny yam there. I found this piece of junk and just tacked it in here as a trellis. I was trying to be creative. I was like on Pinterest, you know, go on Pinterest. And between the 15 million ads for Chinese LED creepy statues and stuff, you occasionally find a cool picture of something. And that didn't inspire this at all. These are crazy. This is crazy. Cosmos here. Hot peppers. I think that's a Tabasco. Somebody asked me if I had Tabasco the other day. I was like, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think I planted it this year. It's really hot. And yeah, that looks like one to me. Something close. I kind of plant stuff and then forget, and then it surprises me later, and it's like Christmas every day. What's that? Where did that come from? How come we have 15 different plants on top of each other where I thought I planted potatoes? I don't know. It's because the previous version of me is setting traps for the future version of me. Hey buddy, hey Dave, future Dave, love you future Dave. Here's a little fun trap that you're gonna discover later, you know? There's all these timelines probably where I'm constantly just finding out that I planted yacon on top of asparagus and they don't really mesh very well. That's yacon right there. Probably asparagus under it. This is a seedling plum. We started multiple seedling plums and peaches, and it's looking very good, very happy. Man, this is fun. I hope you're having fun, because I'm having fun. One of the most beautiful garden systems ever. It's like bringing the tropics to your backyard. Now, if you're in a temperate climate, it's going to be a little bit different, but you could still get this crazy, rank, over-the-top growth. You just have to plant plants that fit your climate and want to live there. That's one of the keys. Plant plants that want to live in your climate. Cannas grow great here. They're beautiful. I can chop them and drop them, and you can eat the flowers. Throw them on your salad. You can eat the roots too. Sugar cane. I love sugar cane. There's a little piece of the tropics. You can actually grow it further north than you think. You can grow it up into zone 7 at least. So long as the bottom of it doesn't freeze way beneath the ground, you're fine. Planted some giant zinnia seeds this year. These are pretty big ones. Big fluffy zinnias. I don't really have any particular use for zinnias other than I love them. They were the first flower that I grew as a kid, so that's a callback. That's what they call that in the industry. I had some of this railroad cardinal climber creeper vine growing up on here. This stuff, people grow it as an ornamental, and it was out here, but it's also a super pest. It covers everything else and sends lots of seeds around, and it's not edible. So I have to yank it out before it puts seeds all over the garden. I planted Chinese yam in here, and the Chinese yams are what I really wanted. I didn't want cardinal climber vine making seeds, but it happens. It's life. Life breaks free, etc. And here we are at the end with some beautiful cassava doing well here. I don't know why I put a trellis over the top of it. It's because I forgot that I planted cassava, I think, and then I put the trellis up. This is not like working out together particularly well. It'll just kind of fill the space in. Maybe it'll grow some tendrils and climb it, you know. It's a Lamarckian style. So that's what we're doing right now. We are trying to manage the summer heat and get a lot of stuff done indoors, and you know, try to just barely keep things under control so we could survive. We just have to survive a couple of months and then it starts cooling down. And right now, a lot of our trees and plants are getting lots of growth. We're getting in watermelons all the time. We've harvested somewhere between 600 and 700 pounds of food this year so far, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think we're pretty easily going to hit 1,000, maybe up to 1,500 pounds or so this year. Remember, this garden is only less than a year old, and so a lot has actually happened in the time period, and over time, as the soil improves and the perennials really kick in, we're going to get a lot more food out of here. And of course, I'll bring you along with me. Every once in a while I have to do one of these let's walk through the garden, and then I often go back to my own video a year or two later and go, wow, look at that. You know, or I'll look at it in winter and go, man, it looked so good. When it feels like that'll never happen again, I just have to look at a video from July. Thanks for joining me. If you want to learn about the grocery row gardening system, I did a really long, intense video where we installed the entire system from scratch and then went back and revisited it. I will put a link to that at the end of this video, and also you can check out my little grocery row gardening booklet. I will put a link below. Thank you for your patience, as we've been quite busy lately, and it's nice to see you all again. And I hope you'll join me again soon in the garden, if I get around to filming another video and having you join me again soon in the garden. Until next time, may your thumbs always be green.
Discover the beauty and efficiency behind grocery row gardening. Create a backyard where fruits, herbs, vegetables, and flowers all grow together within proper spacing. In grocery row gardening, you'll find the tools and systems you need to keep your family fed.
Go ahead.
So we're in the next to last of the rows here. There's an incredible crowd of gnats right in front of me, which you probably can't see on camera. Can you see that up against the sky? They do these weird clouds. Can you see it? It doesn't exist. Focus on my hand. Do you see them now? They're invisible. All right, so start this again. I'm like distracted because there's a big cloud of them around my face. You can't see that, really? Zoom in on my face. They're coming down again.
Go ahead.
There's a huge cloud of, what did you put in the coffee?